Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com and today I'm here with another Woodland Critters modification video. I hope you're not getting tired of these, and if you don't like them, there'll be other videos on my channel as well, but I've just had a lot of fun with expanding this die set and making new critters. So today I have a horse. To get started with the horse, I cut out the critter, whole body, from a dark brown, and then I'm going to be using a lighter brown to add all of the details, but I did also cut out black hooves, so that's what I already have here. Light brown ears from the sort of classic ear pieces that are included with the set and recommended to put on the critter. The belly from the light brown, the hooves from the black, which are just kind of like feet in the original. And I did want to show you again, and you have seen this if you saw my other farm animal ones. I did a cow and a pig. I did create hooves for them, and I forgot it in this one, and this is actually the one that I photographed beforehand because I was trying to photograph a whole bunch of them at one time and save myself a little bit of effort, but I forgot to put the little hooves on him. So I'm going to put the little hooves on his top paw as well, or his top arms, legs, because he's a horse so he doesn't have arms. Y'all know what I mean, right? Okay, so a little bit of super sticky tape on there. I know not everyone prefers to work with dry adhesive for this. A lot of people like glue. That works great as well. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm repeating myself a lot in these videos, but I do want to make sure that if somebody only watches one of them, they fully understand and I share any tips and tricks with them. I've said in the past, when I cut the hooves, these hooves for the arms, the hugger part of the arms, that I lay down the large die and I put 2 small strips of cardstock so that I can run it through once and have both of the hooves. Okay, so this isn't too much of a modification because there is a deer in the original, but you know, there's some different details for a deer versus a horse, and one thing I felt like was getting the snout really made it look more like a horse than a different animal, but also the tail. If you look at the horse's tail, it's going to be coming downwards, and a lot of the tails they show are facing up, which would make sense for certain animals, but just for a horse, it doesn't really make sense. And also you got to get the mane, and so for the mane, I am using this die here from the set. I believe it is I thought it was a topper for the tail. It must not. Oh, it's a different kind of tail. This is another tail choice. So here's the long tail that I'll be using, but I'm going to use the shorter tail choice to create the mane on the top of the horse's head. And once I glued this down, I just thought it was kind of missing something. It didn't really quite read as hair when I glued down this main piece and the tail. They kind of looked a little flat, so I decided to come in and draw some lines. Now, you could totally freehand these lines, and I would feel pretty comfortable doing that, but I did want to show you in case you did not feel very comfortable freehanding the lines, that you could take the tail die and trace the edge of it to kind of mimic the shape and create the look of the lines of hair. There are the little bumps in the die though, of course, so something to consider. Also, sometimes when you stop a marker as you're drawing, it creates a line at the end. So, and this is going to be a lot harder for me right now because I can't just put my head directly over it, which is what I would ordinarily do so that I could really see where I was going. But I don't want my head to be in your way. It's bad enough you have to try to see through my hands here. And so you can just draw some lines. As you can see, there's a good reason I'm using the tracer. I don't mind, I don't need them to look perfect, but if you want your lines to be more controlled, like my first example, use the tracer all the way through. That's what I did. Here I tried to freehand a little bit. Maybe not so cute, but up to you. You probably want to fill in the whole tail a bit more, not leave too many gaps undone. You could, of course, and this would probably be the smarter thing to do drawing all of these lines before you attach it to your critter, just in case you don't like the way they turn out. You can just get a new tail, flip the tail over, use the backside, etc., etc. Same thing for his mane at the top. You can trace the die so that you get some of the curves, and that's what I did on the original. I'm going to give it a shot without tracing, see how it goes. Give it a little bit more of a freehand, homemade look. Do whatever makes you more comfortable. Then I have to trim off the excess here at the top. Okay. And now for the fussiest part, the part where there is no die for what I want to do. I want to use an oval. You could totally find an oval die in your stash. And if you have one, great, go ahead and use it. And I have oval dies. I could find one in my stash. But I just want to show it without going into my stash and finding an oval die so that you can see what it would be like if you didn't have one and you wanted to just use the die set that you bought. You know, you made the investment in this Woodland Critters set, and so being able to make a few more critters with just the die set would be awesome. And so that's what I'm going to do. I took this face piece and I traced one side, lined it up and traced the other side to create a snout, and now I have to fussy cut. If you're not into fussy cutting, again, I just suggest finding an oval die in your stash and allowing that to sort of extend this new critter die purchase that you made. But it's pretty quick to trace and cut. And you could also freehand this if you didn't want to trace the die. I, again, just want to show you just show you what might suit a few people and give you some choices and options in terms of enjoying your Woodland Critter huggers. Okay, so now we have a horse snout. This is why I need to get better about remembering to measure things. As you can see, my horse snout, a little too big, didn't really leave any room for the eyes. That's totally fine. You can just come in with the die, trace it again, and I will measure about how thick this should be. So on my original horse, it's a little over 1 inch in total. Here, this one's also a little over 1 inch, so it should be good. And hopefully that measurement is helpful to you guys, so you don't have to keep fussing and cutting and recutting till you like it. This is another one that maybe not ideal for mass producing, partly because you do have to kind of fuss with creating the snout here. But if you find an oval die to use with it, it becomes a lot less fussy, and I think you could mass produce this one relatively easily. Creating the hooves on the arms is also a little fussy too, just because it's extra die cutting and that kind of thing versus the original. I almost kind of wish they'd included those little paw details, because I see that, having tried to make a few animals, I find that that is something that I want to do a lot, and so I would have been quite happy to have a die. I don't know, maybe I messed up and the die is in there somewhere. I just haven't noticed it. Lay down my snout there. Looking at a lot of cartoon horses, the eyes are kind of in line with the mane if you think about what a horse actually looks like, and the eyes are going to be pretty far apart because they're really on the side of the face of the horse. So this one is a little bit trickier, making a horse versus some other critters. So there's one of the eyes. I've mentioned this in a bunch of the videos. I'll keep mentioning it. I put Elizabeth Crafts tape adhesive behind the little pieces before I ran them through my die cut machine so that I don't have to use liquid glue. I can just easily peel off those little backer sheets and get going. If you don't like to do that, or you find the tape expensive, etc., just use your liquid adhesive. It's just a personal preference. And to make the nostrils, like I have with every single other one that I've made nostrils for, I'm going to use the eyelashes. So there are these eyes, they're eyes with eyelashes. And I cut off the little eyelash piece and I stick it down as a nostril, but I will mention again, as I've said in the other videos, there is a smiley face. And I think that the smiley face would do well as nostrils as well. I don't think you need to fuss with cutting off the edges. I just find that these eyes are a bit smaller than the smiling face, and therefore I like the size a bit better. Horses' nostrils probably should be a bit closer together than some of the other critters, because when the nose kind of comes down to a point, their nostrils would be closer, rather than like a hippo would be farther set apart, or some other animals. So that's why I'm choosing to put them a little bit closer together there. And then I did like adding a smiley to him. So again, I'm going to come in with this die and use it to trace a smile face. I'm going to use the same brown marker that I used on the tail and the mane, and I'm only going to come across part of it. I'm not going to come across the whole face, although that would look cute too. And I'm just going to put a little curve on one side to finish off the smiley. So I think I've got all the steps there, and now I have a horse from the die set as well. I hope that you enjoyed some of the options. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, especially seeing some other designs for the woodland critters, please subscribe to my channel. I will leave you a link to the products I used in the video description below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye.